Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is an awesome day to start this stream, and I am super excited to talk to you about the KPI dashboards. I got all my gear ready, my coffee, a bottle of hot water just in case my throat gets itchy, and my files, my presentation, everything is ready. I could see that we already have people jumping into the stream. Let me know if the audio is all right. I'll just double check the stream health and then we will get started. All right, all right. We are going now live, ladies and gentlemen. This is the monthly stream for Chandoo.org, and for the topic for this month is how to make an interactive KPI dashboard using Excel. So I can see that from your chat messages, the audio is already good. Let's present some of the messages. Arnett says, "Good morning from Texas." Hello, Arnett. Good morning to you from a very early Wellington morning in New Zealand. And right, this is Sekar. He says, "Good evening, Chandoo Garu." Good evening, Sekar. And Nikki says, "Hello, Chandoo." Hi, Nikki. How are you? Okay, we will. So if this is your very first time coming to the live stream here on Chandoo, my channel, welcome to you. And if you have been here on a previous stream and you're rejoining me, big thanks to you for coming back, and good to have you here. And if you're watching this on replay, again, big thanks to you for watching, and hello to you as well. So what we will do is I normally start my stream with a very, very simple presentation. This will just give you an overview of what is it that we are going to cover, how to get most of the stream. And then we will jump into the good thing, which is I'll show you in Excel how to build the KPI dashboard. You're more than welcome to ask questions and keep the chat going with any funny messages, anything else, and help each other out in case someone asks a question on how to do this and I'm doing something here and I'm not paying attention to the chat. Feel free to help your fellow viewers. Let's see where, we got people from all over the world, and the early stream messages are like super hard to keep up with. Muniswaran says hi from Chennai. Hey, Muniswaran. And this is Paul. He says hello from Madison, Wisconsin. Hello, Paul. And this is someone from Atlanta, and they're messaging me in Telugu, which is even awesome. Sunita says, Bagunara, idina first time from Atlanta. Hello, Sunita. I'm doing good. How are you? And we got someone from UK as well. The Runes from Reading UK. And this is from Scotland. Philip from Aberdeenshire, Scotland. All right. And this is Altaf from Pakistan. So we got people from all over the world. Cherry says, good morning from Denver, Colorado. And we got some of the original, like people who come in to almost every stream. Philip Wiest is here. Greeting from the shores of Pacific. Good to have you here, Philip, again. And all right. I'm just reading some messages and having a laugh. But what I'll do is I'll just add my screen here, and then we will switch between that and the messages. I think you just got a quick peek from about the dashboard. I'm just reading a few more messages. Chota Superman, Shashank from Pagal Guy. It's good to hear you. Someone who is from that as well. All right. So let me pop up this welcome and thanks for joining live KPI Dashboards event message, and I'll get my slides ready. And all right, I think that's a good mix of this and that. Okay, well, we'll get started now. I know it's a little too early in the stream, so people will be still joining. So if you're coming in like 5-10 minutes later, I guess you'll not miss the actual Excel action, but still there's a lot of interesting things going on. So here, let me just kickstart this. Welcome to the KPI Dashboard with Excel monthly live stream. Every month I do a different advanced topic on my channel, and this is usually on the last Friday. I suppose there would be probably 2 more live streams this year. I'm not going to do one at the end of December, but 2 more, and then we'll kickstart again in 2022. But this topic is super exciting as well. It is one of the closest topics to my heart, which is a KPI dashboard. I'll talk more about why it is closest to my heart later on. But let me first tell you what is it that we're making. We're going to be making this particular dashboard. Whatever you're seeing on screen, this is what you're making in this live stream. I have prepared the dashboard already. So this is simply because during a live stream, there could be some technical difficulties and whatnot. So I prepared the whole thing, and I'm giving you a copy of the full file as well up front. But we will start from scratch. We will build it in a blank workbook so that you will see that this is what we're going to create in the next 90 minutes. Okay. So I'll do a demo of this particular file later in Excel before we actually start building it. But it is an interactive dashboard that shows key performance indicators or KPIs for our made up chocolate company, Awesome Chocolates. This is the same company that I use in all my demos, so that it's easy for you to focus more on the technique and not feel lost about the business specifications. So what is it that we're going to cover? We will talk about what is a KPI, why it is important, and all of that. There's a little bit of theory behind understanding this, so I'll explain that theory. And then we'll design the dashboard. This is also a very simple process. I'll make a mock-up, and then we will I'll explain to you how such mock-ups can be designed and why it is important. And then we'll simply calculate. This is me just typing randomly on my keyboard, but that's not how we'll calculate. We'll calculate with some pivot tables and Excel formulas to drive the dashboard. And then we'll build it. That's step number 4. This is the flow. But step number 5 is equally important. I'll help you address some of your questions. So if you have got any questions during this process, you're feeling like, oh, this makes sense, but that doesn't make sense, or how did you do that? Feel free to ask those questions and I will address those. Before we begin, I got 3 things to tell you. Number 1 is downloads. Number 2 is questions. And number 3 is M&Ms. So as I said, every month I do these live streams, and there is a sample file that I provide as part of the stream files. You don't really have to download anything. If you want to just enjoy the experience, sit back, relax, and grab something to drink or eat and watch the stream. But alternatively, if you would like to follow along, especially if you've got another device or you're able to juggle, you can check the video description for both blank file and the completed workbook. They're already uploaded. Check the description, download them, and open them and follow along. You're more than welcome to ask questions. This is really the reason why I do live streams. Otherwise, what I could do is I can record the video, I'll upload it, and I can interact with you at my own time. But the live stream part of this is so that I can help you on the live basis, as well as get that community feel. But it would be awesome if you can message your questions with Q at the front. But you can also say anything else. You don't have to put Q for that. But if you're asking a specific question related to the topic of the day, which is KPI dashboards, then use Q at the front. And let's try to stay on the topic. This is super important. You can ask questions about Power BI, Power Query, other things in Excel, but I'm not going to be answering them in this live stream. I want to help people who have questions specific to KPI dashboards as part of this stream. And if you have already asked a question and I haven't replied to you, either because it got lost in the rest of the chats, please do not repeat. This is quite rude, and it helps. It will clog up the chat message, and I won't be able to keep track of what's going on. So that's the third one. All right, what's the third thing? This time I'm doing something strange. I got a jar of M&Ms here right with me, and you can feed me candy. I thought this is fun to do. All you got to do is, if you send me a super chat or super sticker, I'll take an M&M. Of course, I don't want to get diabetic or anything, so I'll probably stop eating after some time. But I thought it will be a fun thing for us to do. So, yep, that's the third thing. All right, with the basics covered, let me announce the giveaway. This is something that is a surprise thing that I plan to do time to time. Last month's stream, we had a giveaway as well. So usually, if possible, I'll try to arrange these giveaways as part of the live stream so that it is fun for you guys as well. And this time, I'm giving away 3 books. These are data books. The first one is this book, Collect, Combine and Transform Data Using Power Query. This is a book by Gil Ravi. And the second one is Storytelling with Data. This is by Cole Nussbaumer Knaflick. And the third one is Better Data Visualizations by Jonathan Schwabish. So these are the 3 books I'm giving away. I'll be giving away the electronic book, not the physical book. But last time we had the contest go like, you have to post a message and then I'll pick random winner. But it was kind of tedious for me to go through that, and also it wasn't really fun. So I've set up a link. All you got to do is go to that giveaway page, chandoo.org/giveaway. Or if you got a smartphone, another spare smartphone, not the one that you're watching it on, you can go to that QR code as well and complete the form and participate in the giveaway. Again, this is optional. You don't have to do it, but if you want to be part of this, feel free to go there. I'll pick 3 people randomly out of the people who completed that, and I'll contact you later next week once I select your names, saying, hey, you got this. Do you want it or not? And I'll reach out to you. And if you're not one of those winners, I won't ever contact you again unless you're part of my other newsletters or whatever. So you can just put your email address in. If you get this, you'll get it. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Okay, so just a backup. These are the 3 books that I'm giving away. Again, these are very, very good books. I have the first 2 books and I read them. I highly recommend. The third book is something that I've read. I have heard a lot of good things about it, and I haven't had the opportunity to read it yet. But I feel like these are good books for you to have if you are in the data field. So that's why I'm giving away those. You can go to chandoo.org/giveaway to participate. I'll probably mention that link again sometime during the middle. All right, let's before we get into this, let me just see what's happening in the chat. Oh, there's a lot of messages. So we already got our super chat. This is for Aaron. Thanks for great work. Thanks, Aaron. Thanks for the M&M as well. I was telling Joe, my wife, that, I'm doing this M&M thing. And she's like, is that the first thing that you're going to eat early in the morning? And I got really worried as well. I can't really start my day with sweets. Normally, I'd like to start the day with some breakfast. But so, yeah. Anyhow, thanks, Aaron. Oh, there's more, actually. I missed some of these super chats, which is strange. All right, I'm not going to eat multiple M&Ms while I already have one in my mouth, but this is from Kmas Man and Galen. Thanks to you as well. I guess this M&M is for all of you. I'll eat the next one later once this one melts in my mouth. Philip says 3 Terraform books already on my shelf. That's awesome, Philip. If you're wondering why I'm not starting the actual thing and waiting here, I just want you guys to go out and complete the giveaway so that you don't really miss out anything. I'll kickstart the actual thing in a minute. Meanwhile, I'll just read through some of these. All right. Tej Babu says, "Hello Chandu garu, Telugulo oka మాట మాట్లాడండి." I guess reading your sentence is that. And this is from Kayla Brown. Thanks for being awesome. Thank you so much, Kayla. Thank you so much for being on the stream and supporting me in my work, as well as helping me enjoy my M&M. I still have one in my mouth, so I'm not going to be able to eat one more, but I'll eat later. The boring channel says, "This is cheating. You're not eating the M&Ms. You just said you will eat the M&Ms." Guess what? If I eat all of these M&Ms, I'll be here for a while and all buzzed. I won't be able to do the KPI thing. I'll be like, ah. Maybe next time I'll get something healthy, like probably some peanuts, not the chocolate one. All right. Let's understand what this KPI is all about. And at this part, if you're listening carefully in earphones or something, this M&M meeting will sound like ASMR. That's not intentional at all. Let's understand what KPI is all about. Some of you may recognize this gentleman here on the screen. This is the famous Peter Drucker, not Philip Drucker. I think the M&M is kickstarting now. Peter Drucker, he is an American management guru, and he's like the original management professor kind of person, and he's famous for his sayings and his philosophy on how to manage organizations. One of his most famous sayings is this. He said, "You can't manage what you can't measure." And that is really the reason why there is so much emphasis on the measure aspect. If you read the two things that are important there, that is manage and measure. So this is the reason why organizations go to great lengths to keep track of everything, because they want to know what is going on in order to be able to manage the whole company or business or situation better and take it to the next level. So that's really what kind of the underlying philosophy behind key KPIs. KPI stands for key performance indicator. So KPI is, you could think of KPI like a number that is used to measure what is going on, and then the whole purpose of that measurement is so that you can manage your business better. So the real reason why companies do KPIs is so that they can manage themselves better. They can get more profit, they can help more people out, they can do whatever. So for example, one of my KPIs when I'm helping you out on a live stream or something else is, I like to see how many people are watching this video. That will help me understand, okay, this many people are benefiting. But the way you want to define and manage these KPIs is you want to define them in such a way that you are able to have a greater control on the outcome. So if I, for example, if I define my success by number of views, it's not something that I can control. I don't really know how I can convince YouTube to show my video to more people. So that's not really what I should be managing, right? Because I can measure the views, but I can't really manage my views. So a good managing and measurable thing for me would be, for example, what is it that I'm producing? What kind of videos I'm making? This is something that I can both measure. For example, I can say every week I'll put out 1 or 2 videos. That's my measurement. And I can also manage it. So that is how you want to approach your organizational KPIs as well. Of course, there's the funny side to all of this as well, which is if you don't measure, there is nothing to manage. For example, you can fly blind and you can still be successful, but but the reality is you will probably not know exactly which way you're going. So we want to go back to the original thing, which is you can't manage what you can't measure. So that's the underlying philosophy behind KPIs, and that's the reason why I guess most businesses adopt to a KPI driven culture and a KPI driven measurement. And that's where the KPI dashboard comes into picture, because once you're measuring, then you want to see that in a visual format. You want to understand what's going on, how things are tracking, and whether we are meeting the targets or not. All right, before I actually start my Excel work, I think I should eat some of these M&Ms for our super stickers. So this one is for Catherine as well as Anil for your super messages and super chats. and this is a saying from Philip as well. He says, Pearson's law, that which is measured improves, that which is measured and reported improves exponentially. I don't think it improves exponentially, but it gets rigged. So whatever is measured, we get kind of, it's human tendency to somehow feed that beast, right? There is an ugly side to the whole KPI thing as well. I'm not going to get into the philosophical sides of those things, but this is the kind of behind the scenes thing. Anyhow, funny memes aside, let me tell you how this whole thing began for me as a personal individual. Like, what is my first brush with KPI dashboards? I'll show you my first KPI dashboard. This is actually, as of today, it's more than 13 years old, and I just can't believe like how time passes. But that's really what it is. So this is the KPI dashboard. And the funny thing is, I didn't even make this particular dashboard. But this is something that I kind of first learned about all the way ago in 2008. The story behind this goes like this. I already had my blog by then. So 2007-8 is when I have started my website, and I have been putting out a lot of Excel tutorials and information that whatever I'm learning, I've been putting that on my website. And around 2008, July, August, I got an email from a strange person named Robert Mungill. And Robert emailed me and said, "Hey Chandoo, I've been watching and learning from your blog. And I work in Germany, and I build a lot of KPI dashboards as part of my work. Is it okay if I go and write a KPI dashboard how-to tutorial on your website?" This is like a very early form of guest posting you could think of. And I was really surprised. I was like, what is this KPI dashboard? I never used a KPI dashboard. So I was curious to learn that. So then I I reached out to him and I said, yes, sure, do it. So Robert wrote a legendary series of 6 articles on my blog. These are some of the most popular content on my website up until a few years ago. And this particular KPI dashboard that I'm showing on the screen is the one that Robert actually explains in his article. So when I wanted to do the KPI dashboard stream, I really had this high bar that, we need to do something that is in the same league as what Robert has done. Of course, as you could see, Robert used Excel 2003 to provide something like this. You can still go and check it out. I'll put a link to this in the video description later, and you can check it out and read through the 6 steps and create this kind of a dashboard. So that's really my first brush with KPI. I know some of you may have done similar things, so you can also kind of relate and connect the dots. All right, let's go and get into, yep, that's pretty much the end of the slideshow there. I'll close that and I'll open my blank file. So I'll quickly explain what is it that we are seeing here. This is a blank data file where I have set up the sample data set as well as the structure. So if you see this tabs for calculation, dashboard, and shapes and icons. Shapes and icon is full. but these other things are not. Data is full. The idea here is the data is already there, and we are going to define a KPI dashboard for this particular organization. As I said, I have already finished the work, so I'll quickly do a demo of this just so that you can get a feel of what is it that we are building. There's a little bit of surprise in there for you as well. So we got your monthly KPI dashboard. The idea here is, again, you can disagree with some of these KPI choices that I made, and I'll explain to you more on why I went with some of these in all of that. But the way this flows is you have two levels. You have got your summary, executive summary on the top, and then you have your detail level view at the bottom. So we got our key performance indicators on the top. These are basically 6 indicators that we track our performance on at Awesome Chocolates. How much sales we are making, how many boxes we are selling, what is the sales per box, how much profit we have generated, what is the profit percentage, and finally, how satisfied our customers are with our products. So those are the KPIs that we report on the headline here with their latest values as per September 2021. And we are also reporting the percentage change from previous month. I hope the color contrast is all right on the YouTube video, but it looks better to me when I open in Excel anyway. So you can see, for example, this tile here, it says $10.7 million in September 2021, plus 4% from September 2020. So that's how each tile is organized. And then we have this grid at the bottom that shows which are our top 10 products. So these product names and a box scales, boxes, profit, year-on-year sales improvement. So compared to same month last year, how sales have changed for each of them, how many boxes have changed, and what is the profit change. And you can kind of sort this on anything. That's the dynamic part. So you can pick on any of that and you will be able to see products for that. Because we sell a lot more products than 10, the list will change depending on what you're sorting it on. And I didn't want to put too many graphs here, otherwise it gets too busy. Again, these are the choices that you will have to make when you design the dashboard. So this is what we will create from that. Let's go back to the blank one. So this is from where we will kickstart. I'll shut off my face before that. I just want to make sure I'm not missing any important things. All right, we got one more super sticker from Umakant. Thanks, Umakant. And that's pretty much it. I'll go into Excel now. So the first step that we want to do when you are building a KPI dashboard for your situations is you must define what those KPIs are. Now, as a data analyst, this task can be somewhat tricky, and it can also be you may have to either do it yourselves or you may inherit some KPIs. Okay, and both can happen. There's good things with both approaches. So for example, if you have to define the KPIs, then it will give you a little more you should have you need to develop all of that. You need to think through a lot of different things, understand the business priorities, and then do it. So that will give you a bit more challenge, which is a good thing in my book. But let's say you have inherited some KPIs. So the company is already tracking some things and you're just asked to use that information and then build the dashboards or reports or whatever. Then your job is easy. You already have a proven system of how things are tracked and you don't have to think through. So as a data analyst, you will find yourself doing both. Like sometimes you may have to do this, sometimes you may have to do that. Whatever works for you, you pick. For the sake of livestream, what I decided is we will just assume that these are the KPIs that we need to track, and we will just go from there. This way we end up discussing and doing a lot of brainstorming for the next 30 minutes, figuring out what the KPI should be. So the data comes to us in this format. These are the products that we sell, and every month, so we kind of sell roughly 22 products. So that's the listing here. And every month, so this 22 items repeat. Every month I get this table from our SAP or whatever sales system that we are using. What is the total sales? How many boxes are there? What is my profit? And how much satisfaction we have from our customers. That's pretty much it. And it kind of repeats. So this goes on. Every month new data comes and gets added at the bottom. So you can see that we started from September 2020, and right now it goes all the way up to September 2021. So next month, supposedly October 2021 comes here. And you can see that right now we have 13 months of data. Again, this is not the... My mouse battery is dying apparently. Don't worry, I got a backup mouse here, so hopefully it won't come to that. So 13 months is the usual standard in business reporting for monthly reporting situations. This is because you have one full year of visibility, and if you want to do same month last year comparisons, then you have the month available as well. Because many businesses follow this kind of a cyclical pattern where things change as per calendar month. Having 13-month window is way better than not having the 13th month. So there are multiple ways. I made the assumption that next month data comes, then September 2020 goes off. It starts from October and then it goes all the way up to October 2021. So we got our thing here. I've generated these other two tables to simplify our job. Let me quickly explain what these two tables are. This is my month table that will tell me what is the month number for each of the 13 months. This is a generated table, so there is no manual typing involved here. The month numbers are typed in, but this is actually a calculation based on the earliest month in the data. So if the earliest month is September 2020, then this will generate all the dates for the 13 months. And this is a typed in data set where I'm telling you what are the 6 KPIs that we are tracking. We are tracking actually more than 6, but some of these KPIs are used for this selection option here for sorting. So I can sort this by any of these 3 or those 3. Whereas at the top level, we are adding some extra things, which is sales per box and profit percentage as well. Okay, so that's the sample data. As I said, I have already provided you a copy of this file. You're more than welcome to start connecting the dots at this point. But now let's go and build the calculation engine. Before you do the calculations, what is advisable is, you know what the KPIs are. The KPIs are kind of loosely these 4 and some of these plus profit as a percentage and sales per box. So those are the KPIs. So you may want to write them down on a paper. That is a good idea. And once you do that, then what you also want to do is you want to develop a vision of what is it that your dashboard is going to look like. So this is my KPI dashboard rough sketch. And this is something that I highly recommend doing every time you're building a dashboard. So you develop a view in your mind and then at least sketch it out so that you can kind of understand how it looks as a final product and what would be some of the challenges. So for example, I could think that my dashboard would follow this 2-step process, which is my KPI summary will be on the top as 6 boxes. Normally we call these as tiles. So 6 tiles on the top. Then we got our detail view, which will just show the top 10 products. For me, because my main goal is not to build the KPI dashboard. Remember, this Awesome Chocolates thing is a made-up company, so there's nothing, nobody really reads this KPI report. So for me, the main goal is not only to create a dashboard, but also to make it easy for you to learn some new techniques and understand. So that's the other goal that I have as an educator. So that's the reason why I wanted to add some of the elements. So I have the top 10 products idea and then sorting ability, so that we can then understand how such things can be implemented. Whereas for you, you will get such guidance from your users, whoever is reading this KPI report. It could be the head of the department or the marketing manager or whoever is reading this. They will be able to give you some their vision, like, I want to see this, I want to see that, and based on that you would be able to develop such a mock-up. So that's the next step. Normally you want to do it on a piece of paper or in a meeting with your clients, and once you have the full vision, then you come back and start implementing it in Excel. Okay, so let's go back here. There's some comments about video quality. I feel like it's not something that I can control. You will have to adjust your YouTube settings to make the quality higher or lower, and a lot depends on your bandwidth and things like that. For me, I am streaming at higher quality, so you can see it at both lower and higher quality as well. So whatever works for you, choose that. All right, I just want to give a shout out to Pratik and Helen for your super stickers. Okay, just hide that. And Arthur shares a good suggestion. When you are making a mock-up, you can also create the mock-up in Excel using shapes. Now, I prefer this as well. And in some of my other live streams and videos, you see me doing such a thing, right? I create a mock-up drawing in Excel and then show that to you within Excel or within PowerPoint. But the reason why I prefer at least pen and paper for my first cut of mock-ups is because it's so much flexible to just scribble on the paper, right? If I get wrong, I can flip over and I can start. I can add more detail without thinking too much about what shape do I use and whether it does the justice for what I try to convey here. So that's the tricky bit. So at least for my first cut and second cut, I try to do it on paper, and then once I have some good clarity of vision, if needed, I then transpose it into Excel, PowerPoint, or other types of mock-up or visualization tool for the final thing to happen. So whatever works for you, use it and go with that. Cool. Now let's go and build. I got some feedback from people saying, don't talk while you're eating. Well, you made me talk. That's the whole point of M&M challenge. I had to eat M&Ms when I get super chat. But I'll try to keep it low. I also blame my mic. It's probably super sensitive. Okay, so now that we have defined the scope of our dashboard, all the data is there, let's go and start some calculation work. So to do this, what we will do is we got our data, and most of the calculations that I do would be using pivot tables. This is because pivot tables are super simple. They can be refreshed. I can link up my source data to Power Query and run the pivot tables, and they are less work to do rather than writing a formula. If I have to write a formula for certain things, the logic and the syntax and the expression can be very long, whereas with pivot, I just have to drag and drop and do it. So that's the reason why we will use pivot tables to drive the calculation engine. And it's a good idea to keep your calculations in a separate tab. This is where all the pivot tables will live. But if you have to you can also split this calculations into multiple worksheets, and that is also something that I do depending on how complex my report needs to be. I'll quickly explain one other thing before we jump there, which is you can see that this month column here and this month column here are mapped. So I've already set up a relationship between these two. You can see that KPI month is linked to months table month. This is already done in the sample file that I gave you, blank data file, so that we don't waste time on doing that. But in your situations, when you are working with your data, you will still have to set up some relationships and data model. So once this is done, we'll go here, calculations, insert, and I want to insert a pivot table. This is a new Excel UI that I'm using. They've made some minor adjustments. One of them is you have your from data model option on the pivot table. So earlier when you click on pivot table, you would get an option to do the data model thing here. But now they've put it here. I hope this is temporary, so it might actually revert back to the original thing. We'll see how it goes. So I will add a pivot table right here. So we will add two pivot tables, at least one for the summary view and the one for the detail view. So I'll add a pivot table from the data model and we will get this. Let's just move this guy here so we can see what is going on. Zoom up, but the visibility might be somewhat tricky, but you understand what is going on, especially if you're following for a while. So we got KPI, which is my main table. All the data is there. And then you have months table, which tells you what's happening right now. So we'll take the month table. We'll put month number into the columns. So it'll list all the 13 numbers. This is better than the actual month because our KPI card needs to say what's happening in the 13th month and how it is changed from the first month. So 1 and 13 are the only numbers. And if I do it for September 2021 and September 2020, next month data comes, we'll have to adjust this pivot. Whereas with this number system, no matter what is going on with the data, the numbers will always need to be 1 and 13. So we'll put 1 and 13 there. And quickly from the column filter, we'll just say, I don't need to see everything. I just want to see 1 and 13. So that only those two show up. And then from here, we'll now go and add the data here. I think the pivot cache is... It does say dollar per box and profit percentage here for me. I don't know whether it is saying that, but those fields no longer exist. So somehow this thing is a little old. Anyhow, we'll just put the sales value here. I'll get my sum of sales. At this point, this is how the pivot table looks like. First month sales, 13 month sales. You can see that 10.3 million and 10.7 million. We'll put boxes. We'll put profit dollar. And we'll put satisfaction as well. Satisfaction will be added up. At this point, the pivot table is going sideways. So what I'll now do is I'll take this thing values and move it here so that the pivot gets reoriented and we will get this. Okay. We will worry about the formatting of these numbers in a minute, but for now you can see total sales, total boxes, total profit, total satisfaction. Now these three are fine. You can't really add up the satisfaction. It needs to be average. Again, there is a lot you need to think through whether do average or weighted average and all of that. For now, let's keep it simple. We'll just say average satisfaction. So back in 2020, our satisfaction was 3.29. Right now it is 3.41. There's also a grand total. We don't need the grand total, so I'll turn that off. So we get this set of numbers. Given these four, I can calculate two more numbers, which is my profit percentage, which will be this number as of that, and sales per box, which would be this number divided by this number. So I can calculate those two. So we have that. We will now create, right in this file, I'm doing it in a more haphazard manner because of the nature of the live stream. But at least in the output completed file, I've done a little bit of better job of structuring and maintaining things. Okay, so we got all of these. We'll calculate the sales per box and profit percentage as extra measures in the pivot table itself. This way we don't have to do anything outside. So we will right click on the pivot, add measure. We are able to do all of this because we are using the data model aspect of Excel. And this one, we will call this measure as sales per box. And here, this is, we already have sum of sales and sum of boxes as values available for us to use. So we'll just use square bracket sum of sales divided by sum of boxes. Again, I assume you're familiar with some of the things that I'm showing here. I'm not going to explain the actual DAX language things right now because we covered that as part of the live stream that I did a few months ago. You can always go back and watch that. For now, just take some notes if this is the first time you're seeing this kind of thing. And we'll say this needs to be in currency with 1 decimal point and click OK. So that will give you extra calculation sales per box. We'll just quickly add that. You can see back in 2020 we had $17.2 per box, but right now we are tracking at $15.7 per box of chocolates that we sell. All right. The next thing that we will do is we will also add a profit percentage measure. So I'll add this measure, which would be profit percent. And you can again divide directly the way we did earlier, but I'll show you another way, which is to use the divide function. And then numerator is the sum of profit dollars. Every time I use the auto suggest, it will reset the zoom on this box. And then this one needs to be sum of sales. So what divide does is it will not show the divide by zero error. Whereas if you do a raw division yourself, then if there is a divide by zero, then it will come up as an error. Whereas this one will just give out a blank. This is the reason why within Power Pivot, we normally use divide. And you can take that idea and use it in Power BI as well. Okay, so this is also going to be a currency figure. Sorry, this is not a currency. It's need to be a percentage. So we say this is a number of the percentage format with 1 decimal. All right, so those are added. We will add the profit percentage. Our profitability is very high. Chocolates is a very good business. We get 50% profit for every chocolate box that we sell. So this is what is happening right now and what has happened in the past. So once we have this picture, we can then take this and put it into the dashboard. So instead of going and doing more calculations, what we will now do is we'll take this information, we'll put it into the dashboard so that you feel like we're making some progress. Otherwise, our dashboard sheet looks really empty. And then we'll come back and add more calculations so that you'll understand how that back and forth happens. So these are the numbers, but we can't directly plug these numbers into the dashboard. The way Excel numbers work is you might think this is 50%, but the reality is if you, for example, fetch this value here and just set the formatting to general, you'll get that 0.49955. So that's the actual value. It's not 50%. The actual value is 0.49955. So what we want is we want to take these values, transpose them into text values so that when you put them on the dashboard, they just look the way that you want. So that's the next step. These are my calculations. And then we will set up a grid here for display format. We also need to know what was the difference from this month to last year same month. So we'll say KPI this month YOY change and just quickly get the values. KPI is this thing here and this month value is this. We could use Power Power Pivot to do the YOY change calculation as well, but that gets a little too technical. So I'm just taking the easy route here, which is this month divided by last year same month minus 1. That'll give you how much percentage change happened. And we'll just drag this down. We'll get that. Okay. Let's just quickly refer to my final workbook here to see the order of this. So we are showing sales, boxes, sales per box, profit, profit percentage, and then satisfaction rating. So that's the order in which we would like to show these tiles. So we want to do the same here. We will just rearrange this pivot. We'll put sales per box in the middle and profit percentage here. So we'll just rearrange the items. This way, our calculation is also in the same order as the output, so that we don't have to do extra work when we are plugging in the formulas. Let me see if there is any questions. Otherwise, I'll continue. So Philip says, when you use from data model, you can convert. So this is basically adding on to the topic that I said, which is why we are using pivot tables. One, they're easy. Second thing, you can use the measures. Third one is you can also convert them to formulas, the cube formulas, which will then give you so much more flexibility when you are building the dashboard. And you may not think about these things early on when you are building, but as you get into more complicated stuff, you will come to a point where you will realize Excel formulas are not going to give you the answer that you want. You need something more, and that's where the pivot tables really shine. So that's good. Alita Smite sends in a super sticker. I'm not going to eat an M&M right now. For one, the sugar in that is actually making my throat itchy, which is not good for the live stream. So I'm just going to take a sip of coffee for you. Thanks, Elita. And let's just see. Okay, so that's all good. We got all of this information. I'll just put some borders around it so we know where that is. And then we will take this and turn that into output format. So for the outputs, we'll just say format code. You'll understand quickly why this is happening. This month value and then percentage change. So the format for my sales will need to be, because our sales are so high, we don't really want them to show all the decimals. We'll just show 10.7 millions. That's a good enough precision when you are dealing in that level of numbers. So we'll use the format code hash. If I just say 2 commas and then don't put anything, .0, what happens is the number will be represented as millions, because each comma is 1000 level in Excel's formatting system. So we'll put that. We'll just test this out. We can say text this number in that format. So we'll get that 10.7. This is good, but it needs to also say M. So we'll just print double quotes M here. So that's how that number will look like. You can tell, if you don't know how these things work, you don't have to worry. You just take this number, apply the relevant formatting, and then go to more number formats, click on custom, and then it will show you the code there. This is the kind of code that you want to use. Because I've been using Excel for a long time, I kind of know some of these things, which is good enough. All right, we will just say hash comma .0 K, and then 681.8 thousand boxes. Sales per box, we can just say $#0. So that will be 15.7. Profit can be another similar thing, 5.4 million. And then this needs to be, I'll just select all of this first, make them text. so that Excel doesn't do anything funny. 0%, and that needs to be 0.0, so 3.4. So it will give you those values. Again, if you don't understand this, you don't have to think too much. You just try out with these and then figure out how to tweak them later on. And percentage change from last year is always going to be 0% format. So I'll just say text of this number 0%. So it'll give you 4, 14, minus 9, 2, minus 1, 1 like that. I thought it would be cool to, instead of just saying 4, say plus 4 or minus 4. That way you will know relatively how things have changed. Plus 4 stands out more than 4 alone. So that's the thing that I've done here. You can see there is a small plus symbol in the middle to the front. And that plus symbol is not the usual plus. It's actually the plus emoji icon. So we could do the same here as well. Instead of leaving it like this, I will add emoji thing as well, which would be if my last year change is under 0, then within double quotes, and then you can trigger the emoji keypad with Windows and the dot key, and pick the minus emoji like that. You can also add the plus emoji. So you'll get that. So it will be minus if my year-on-year change is negative, and plus if it is positive. And so once this is there, we just take that thing and concatenate it to the front, and we will get these. Okay, so we'll get that. Now, because it's a minus, it says minus and minus 9%. We don't need the double negative there. So instead of I7, we will just make it an absolute value of I7. And we'll get this kind of thing. All right, enough calculations. I know it probably, this is the bit where unless you enjoy this kind of a thing, you'll start to feel a bit nervous and get lost as well. You're like, oh, what's going on here? Chandoo is going too fast. Yeah, and because this is a live stream, you can't even pause me. I mean, you can pause and rewind, but you'll have to catch up later. So for that reason, what I'll do is we will go and start building the actual visual. You will be able to relate that, and then we will come back and add more. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, but otherwise I'll assume that you are enjoying and there is nothing bothering you. So I'll go quickly to my shapes and icons page. Here I've put some shapes for you to reuse. I created these for this particular dashboard specifically, but I've also put some other shapes that you can try as the tiles for the KPI dashboard. And you can always improvise and you can create something else on your own. So what I'll do is I'll copy all of these, Control, and select all of these, Control C, go to the dashboard, Control V there, I'll paste it. I'm just going to zoom down my screen a bit and quickly move these things to relevant places. All right, and then we'll now have to decide on how to space these out. So I'll just place them like this. When you are moving, if you hold down the Alt key, it will just snap to the grid. Where's the other one? Yeah. So this is how our dashboard will look like. It's a little too wide, but nowadays everybody has these widescreen monitors. So what would have been a okay dashboard back in 2008 and 2009 would be now too tiny. It will just fit in this part of the screen because of the way our screens have grown. So we will have to rethink about how much space is given for all of this. So I think this is fine. But there is too much space between these things. So I'll hold down my Control key, select these spacing, and just make it not too wide, maybe 20 pixels, so that now I can see everything in one screen on my computer when I'm full screen. Manjunath says this is going to my dashboard for next month. That's awesome. Thanks, brother. So Vishal says, what if we want the number to be either in millions or thousands, depending on how big it is? This is where you need to get a bit more tricky with your formulas. One way to do it is you could build an if condition to test out what format code to use. So you could have like a backup format code as well. And if the number is more than a million, then you will use the millions code. Otherwise, you'll use the thousands code. So that's one way I would do it. And PF says, I'm new into this. Is this your actual business? I don't know what you mean by actual business. You mean by doing a YouTube live stream is my actual business, or making chocolates, or the Awesome Chocolates is a made up company for which we are making this dashboard. But my actual business is to teach people how to use Excel and Power BI. Okay, so we got our tiles here. Now let's plug those values from the dashboard here so you can understand how they appear. If you're not, I went with this dark chocolatey color because we are doing chocolates, but as I try to see it on the screen here, I feel like the contrast is not great. So I'm going to just quickly switch to a slightly different shade of this. We'll just try for this for now, and we'll bother about those other things later. So we got sales. We'll now want to show what is our sales for 2021 September here, percentage change value here. So to do this, because these are tiles and these are shapes, they're floating on the grid above. So if I want to put my value underneath, let's say 10.7 million, the moment this guy goes and sits here, we can't see it. So we can no longer use the cell values to drive our output. So because these are there, we could, for example, just format the cells to look like this style, but they won't be as pretty or as polished. So for that reason, normally within the dashboard, I always use a tile or an image to present the information and then layer something on top of it. The things that you can layer on top are, you can add more shapes on top. So we will add a text box shape from insert. We'll just put a text box here. We'll do it 1. And then this text box equal to, we don't want to type anything here because we already calculated. We just want to link it. So we'll place the text box, click on the formula bar, say equal to, and go to calculations and point to the this month value, enter. So it'll come up here saying 10.7 million. The number is all right, but the formatting is not as per our standard. So we'll select, go to shape format, no outline, no fill. So just the number part. And then we'll go change this to the number format for our dashboard. In the shapes and icon, I've told you what font I'm using. For values, I'm just using Excel's default. For the main numbers, I'm using the Barn Script semi-bold format. So we'll just change that to this. These are all fonts that Excel already comes with, especially newer versions of Windows. So we'll select that. We will make it a strong white color so that it stands out. And we'll make it nice and big. This is an important number, so it needs to shine. And you can play with these alignment and everything. And once you're happy, you can say that, yes, I can read the 10.7 million from across the room. We'll then go and Control C, Control V, so that we get one more shape. This one, I'll move it down. And this one, I'll say this is equal to the change thing. Notice that when you plug the change, it will automatically appear the emoji in the correct format. And again, we will change the font color, and we don't need that to be too big. So I'll adjust this and maybe, change the coloring a little bit. So there you go. That is pretty much our I'll make it white. Our sales tile. So once one tile is good and you're happy with the way it is looking, you can then select these two and Control C, Control V, and place them onto the next tile as well. And just select this from L7. It's the next cell, so we'll just say L8. See what happens, the magic when we do this. Well, it'll do two things. It'll change the number, but it'll also ruin the formatting. At least in Excel 365 and up until all these versions, there is a bug in Excel where the formatting doesn't get carried away every time you change the source of the cells. This is an easy problem to fix. We'll fix that later. So I'll quickly copy paste a few more times just so that you can understand how to adjust these things. There's no value in manually doing all of these. So without that, we'll do L9, L10, and L11. So we adjust these references, and once the adjustment is done, then what you have to do is click on the first tile. We have already done the formatting here. We don't need to do the formatting again. Double click on the format painter and just tap on these things so that the formatting gets carried out. We'll do the same for this guy as well. Cool. So all the tiles are now looking as per our standard of how they need to look. I haven't done for satisfaction rating. I'll just leave that as your homework, figure it out. It's just copy paste and change the source anyway. But I'll show you how that looks here. For the satisfaction rating, I showed these, but I also thought it would be cool to have a star rating thing show up there. I won't attempt to do that now. Instead, that file is provided so you can kind of decipher the logic. It is all kind of neatly laid out here, so you won't really feel too at loss. But what I'll try to do is I'll skip that topic for now. We will make a progress because already 50 minutes into the stream and we only made the header. So we'll just make a move and we'll build this part. And if time permits, I'll come back and show you how the rating thing is done. So this is my top half. It looks nice and clean. We will add some extra elements on the top. We'll select this thing. We'll just fill up with some color and let me just copy my corporate logo as well. Control C, Control V. So this is Awesome Chocolates logo. We'll put that there and then we'll just say monthly sales dashboard. Should have been monthly KPI dashboard, but so that is there. We can add one more row here and use this to say summary details or key metrics, and then the detail section will follow here. Let me just read through comments to see if there is any other questions. So Bibu Shri asks, why can't the sales value be pointed directly to the pivot table? I'll show you what happens if you point. So equal to, and then we'll just directly point it to the pivot. It will read this. It'll be, even if you format, it doesn't matter. It will say that. So there is no formatting. Even if I format my pivot, so if I go here and if I say number format, currency, so you can see that this is nicely formatted as currency, 10,710,000, but it will only say that much. It won't really go beyond. So it gets a little tricky. I think this is probably new behavior or maybe something to do with pivots. So for that reason, to give you that extra bit of flexibility and comfort, we are just doing it like this. So Undo. Okay, so now that the top thing is done, for the bottom part, what we want to show is we want to show our top 10 products. Remember, we sell more than 10 products. In real life situations, you might have actually hundreds of products. So you will have to figure out what to show, how to lay that out, and what goes into that. At Awesome Chocolates, we have the luxury of just having 22 chocolates. So we can just pick and say, I want to see these 10. But which 10? What is my top 10? Is it top 10 by sales, top 10 by boxes, top 10 by profit? Which ones do we want to see? So for that reason, I thought it will be cool if we just show top 10 and give the choice to the end user so they can select what they want. They can say, show me top 10 by sales, show me top 10 by products and boxes, and then it'll show that. So we will have to set up that. This is where things get a little bit tricky, not too tricky, but a little bit tricky. We will just try and do this. If it gets too complicated, what I'll do is I'll pause, I'll open my completed workbook, and I'll explain how that is done there. Because it's one thing to do it, it's another thing to explain it, and it's third thing to actually explain it in short amount of time without dragging this live stream until Monday. So we will add one more pivot table data model and insert it here. In this pivot table, what I want to do is, because when I'm saying top, what I really want is I want to see what's happening either right now and then right now sales, or right now sales improvement from last year's sales. So those are the 6 criteria that we want to see. So we are really only interested in what's happening at this point and percentage change from the same month last year. So we could go here, we'll say product. So we'll list all our 22 products here. For each product, I would like to see what is my sales, what is my boxes, and what is my profit. So we get all these 3 numbers and let's just quickly disable any grand totals. And then we'll do the same thing as before, which is add the month number and unselect and select 1 and 13 alone, so that we get this nice little pivot table. What has happened in the last year start and what is happening right now. Okay, so we get everything for the products. We'll now do the sorting outside of the pivot table, because the sort order needs to be not just sales, boxes, and profit. If it is one of these, I can right click and sort. But because the sort order needs to be dynamic, like user says, I want to sort by this, then this needs to sort automatically. There is no such option within pivot tables. You could use VBA, but we're not going to use VBA. We're just going to do everything in Excel. So this has to happen in a more a different manner. Before I do that, I best save this file as stream. Okay, so to make all of that happen, we are now gonna take the data from pivot, and then we will just use it inside some formulas to make it happen. So that's the second thing. So this is there. We will add somewhere here. We'll just insert one more pivot table from the data model, and this is on my options thing. So we'll just add options. These are my options. I want to be able to sort on sales dollars, profit dollar, boxes, or year on year box changes, profit changes, and sales changes. So those are the 6 KPIs that we would like to do it. And then selection will be as a slicer. So if I, for example, on the dashboard, I say, show me by sales, I click on that. This particular cell here, L24, will tell me that I have picked sales in the dashboard. Okay, so this is that. We'll cut this slicer, Control X, paste it into the dashboard. So here I can pick what I want to sort on. Whatever I pick, I will be able to access that in my calculation worksheet here. Okay, now everything is ready. We will go and set up the actual calculation grid. It is a little tricky to do it and make sure that you are also be able to understand what is happening on the same screen because of the volume of this data. So excuse me while I zoom down a bit, but we're not doing anything strange yet. When I'm doing something important, I'll show you what that is. So we'll have to make a grid here. We'll just say calculations for the top products. Okay, so we'll have to first get all the data, all the 6 items for all the 22 products, and then apply the sort formula on that. So we'll say product sales boxes profit and then sales YOY boxes YOY and then profit YOY. Some of these are fairly obvious. I can just use my references to the pivot table to get. Sales is this, boxes is this, and profit is this. And then we'll just drag this down 22 times. So we'll get that. Okay, so far so good. I haven't done anything super complicated. All I did is made a reference to the pivot table so we could get sales value, boxes value, and profit value. Let's just see if anybody is super lost in the chat. Patricia sends in a super sticker as well. Time for my third M&M. I've been pretty good with this, isn't it? I haven't had like all the jar of M&Ms yet, even though we got quite a few super stickers. Thanks, Patricia. And let's read what Andrew says. In the current version of Excel 365, if you format cell D7 the same way as you supplied, you can direct text box directly to the pivot table rather than Excel table. May not work in previous Excel versions. That is very interesting. I think it may have been something they added as part of some of the new updates. I'll have to test this a bit more because if it actually works for cell references as well, not just pivot, because in pivots, I think the way when you format it changes something. But for cell references, if the cell has value and if you apply formatting, would it work? Is something that I would love to test. So maybe I'll take that up, and probably it's a very good usability improvement in my book. Like, yeah. So Meenakshi says, please once again explain the formula for emoji. I would love to, but I'll probably revisit this question later. But there is a video on my channel as well that talks a little bit about how to do the emoji. It's a 50-second video. So feel free to search it up and watch it because it's just a quick tip on how to use emoji with if formula. So check that out. Couple of people are asking this question, so I thought I'll address that. So we are missing a part of the video, or I had to do this or that or whatever. So I lost. Will this be available? One, the files are available on the channel, video description, so feel free to get them. The video will be on the past live streams page for some time. I cannot promise that I'll keep it for long. There's a couple of reasons for this. Number one, usually if I get too inspired after the live stream, what I would do is I'll try to make the stream offline, not offline, but at least make the stream unlisted, and then go and try to make a proper video tutorial with 3 or 4 parts from it. I've done it previously, so I may do it again. No promises. And the second thing is Sometimes I feel like, okay, this has had its time, and there is no real value in keeping some of the content. This is very good, so I might keep it there for some time, and we'll see. But anyway, I'm not going to remove it next week, so feel free to come back and watch it whenever you can, if you need to do a catch up. And this is a question from Arbar. Is it dynamic? What happens when you change the data? It is a dynamic dashboard. So if you update the data, if you refresh it by pushing new month's data, everything will change. I'll show you at the end of construction process what happens when you put in some new data, how things will change. All right. I think the screen was getting a little blurry, probably because I'm not doing much on that, but hopefully it won't be. So where we were before I started eating this M&M is we built a product pivot table that shows by product how much sales, boxes, and profit have we generated last year, this year, for all of our products. And then I made a grid here that will just tell me what's happening this year. These are the current values, and improvement from last year is just a calculation of this divided by that -1, and we can just copy and paste that, so we'll get some percentages here as well. And that's the thing. So this is just refer back to the pivot calculations to generate these values. We've kind of done some of this up there, so it's not entirely new. You might have some questions at this point, not specific, either you're not thinking about it or it hasn't really occurred to you yet. But when you go back and apply them in your work, you will have these questions, which is, oh, what if we have not 22 products, but let's just say you have 20 products right now, but when you refresh the data, the number of products you have become 25. How to handle that? Because the way we have done it is we have assumed that there will ever be only 22 products. So the way to deal all of this is this approach, whatever I'm showing you here, is an approach that works very well if your data is somewhat stable. I mean, you can have next month data added, but if you're not rapidly expanding your product line, then this approach is good enough for you. But if you are expanding your product line and if your things are changing like that, then what you want to do is you want to be able to figure out the necessary DAX to even calculate these percentage values. There is DAX language has some functions that can do this. I'm just not showing them simply because they tend to get a little more complicated and beyond scope for this kind of a live stream format, but they can be done. So if you do that, then you would get a pivot with those 6 values right here. And then you can use some other technique to sort that or whatever. So that's that. But for most cases, this is how it is. So it's not super hard. And if you're adding, let's say, 1 product per month, given that we have automated most of it, there's a high level of automation and dynamic thing built into this dashboard, so that it's not really hard for us to do that extra bit of manual work once a month to double check for the new products. So we got this. We now just want to sort this by sales dollars. So that column. But this can change, right? It can be boxes, it can be sales by OY. So sorted list. It has the same title. So I'll copy paste that. And here you can do it in a number of ways. I'll show you my favorite way of doing this, which is to use the newly introduced sort function. Sort this table, this array. What is the index? Index is nothing but the column number on which we need to sort. So it needs to be sales, boxes, profit, or sales, boxes, profit. That's the index. So we'll have to first figure out what is the index that we need to sort on. So this is my selected value. We'll calculate the sort index here, which would be match this value on my options table here. Is my options table with an exact match. You can also use X match, but anything works. So that's my, right now I'm sorting on first column, but if I go here and for example change to profit year on year change, I'll be sorting on the sixth column, which is this column. So we'll then say sort. This is the only bit that you won't be able to use if you're running Excel 2016, let's say, because sort is only available in Office 365. So if you're running an older version of Excel, you can still sort, but for that you need to refer to the technique that Robert Mungill himself introduced all the way back in 2008 in that original KPI dashboard that I showed you at the start of the stream. So there is a technique that you need to follow to sort data in Excel using Excel's own formulas. It is a slightly laborious technique, but it is a flawless, beautiful technique. We no longer have to use it because there's a sort function now. So sort index is 6 and sort order is descending. This is because we want to see the best product on the top. So I'll get my product sorted. Right now we are seeing by profit year on year changes. Is that what I'm seeing? Yeah. Although some of these numbers look a bit suspicious, so maybe I've calculated it wrong. Okay, it does look all right. I think there's a negative number here, so I'm worrying why is this negative on the top. But I will look at that later. So we got the sort thing done, and so we sorted all of this by the sixth column. Oh, I understand what is happening. This is because the actual data has 7 columns, including product name, whereas the sort order is on 1 to 6. So this needs to be +1, and that'll, yeah, that's all the problem. Okay. So we got the sorted thing done, and we'll just do it here. So all I have to do is just present the first 10 rows into my dashboard. So this is up to here. We will select this and we will fill a different color there. So this is the only bit that is going to the dashboard. Everything else is just here in the worksheet. So we can then Control C this number, go to the dashboard, right click and paste it as a link. So we get the details here. Now we just have to apply some formatting to make it look pretty. We'll do that. Before that, I just want to read through some questions to make sure. Well, I'll start from the top. Geeta says, when I downloaded the completed dashboard and try, the values are not getting updated. Couple of reasons. The dashboard won't work if you're running a really old version of Excel. In fact, because I'm using the sort function, it will only work in Excel 365. But as I said, the technique should work in any version, just that sort functionality is not there. So that is something that you will have to use another option to sort. Unfortunately, I'm not able to explain that right now, but there is techniques there. I'll put a link in my video description later so you can go and investigate that. Let's see what this Shabari says. How to keep relationship with the data of the same columns like you did for months in datasheet. All right. This is because I've already done it. So chances are, say, if you have never done it, you would not know. So what you want is you want your data in tables. That is the first bit. So you got your data table and you have your months table. Then you go to data ribbon and click on relationships. This thing is available in, I think, Excel 2013 onwards. So you could do it anytime. And add a new relationship, map one column to another. The only rule here is one of the tables must have only one row per month. In this case, month is being added. So one of the tables need to have that as unique identifier and it will work. And then Krishna Rani asks, could you please explain the logic behind selecting 1 month and 13 month once again? That's simply because for the purpose of this dashboard, what we want to do is what's happening right now, which is the 13th month in the list of months that we got, and how we did in comparison with the same month last year. This is because we are selling chocolate and people tend to buy chocolates in a calendar pattern. So for example, if you got a big holiday in the month of December, let's say Christmas or Halloween or Thanksgiving, there's a lot of chocolate consumption at that point. So if I look at my December sales and try to compare it with my January sales, like previous month sales from Jan to December, I'll feel depressed. I'll be like, oh, December we sold $70 million and right now we are only selling 5 million. What's going on? Our business is falling. That's not what is really happening. It's because of the cyclical nature of your business. So you want to go and compare with the same month last year to get a realistic sense of whether things are falling or not. So that's why we do 1 and 13 for many business reporting situations. This is not always true. So depends on what type of data you're analyzing. Let's say you're analyzing a IPL is going on. So let's talk about the cricket league or any sports leagues. So if you are analyzing the performance of a cricketer or a team to understand how they're doing, you can't really compare how many runs they scored in August versus how many runs they scored in the last year August. That's not correct because they may not have played the same number of matches or same season. So you want to compare with sports seasons, which can change. So depending on what you're doing, you will have to pick your comparison window and then do the comparisons. In this case, we're doing 1 and 13. All right. I can see that some of you have already answered these questions, which is really awesome. Like you're helping out each other. That makes my job easier as well. All right. So Shabari asks, some functions like sort and filter are not available in earlier versions. How to solve? As I said, this particular dashboard, the technique that I am explaining expects that you are using an earlier version of like Excel 365. If you don't have 365, you can still sort, but it requires doing it in a few more steps. I won't be able to cover that right now, but it is possible. The other alternative is you can kind of cheat and then simply say, we won't have this interaction bit here, just delete that thing and right click on your pivot on one of these columns and sort that and then just get the top 10 rows. To change, you'll have to go back and apply the sorting here, which is manual, but at least that's one way. Or you can create 3 pivot tables, one sorted by sales, one by boxes, one by profit, and then use the if condition to pick which one to show on the dashboard based on what is selected. So all of these are possible techniques, but I'm not going to go into greater detail, unfortunately, just because it will take a longer time to explain the actual formula logic. But there's blog articles that I have that will explain that. I'll add the links to that later on. All right, so we got our data here. You can see that when you sort, some of these numbers and names change, but it is fairly ugly. So let's turn this into beautiful format. First up, we'll select this bit. Our product is in right column, but we can't even read the whole thing. So I'm just going to move it here so that there is enough space here for my product names. Then sales, boxes, profit, I can read. Right next to sales, I would like to show a bar chart that tells me how many sales we are having as a visual indicator. So I'll add this space here for my bar chart. For boxes, we won't have any bar charts, but profit, again, I want to add a bar chart. And then we'll move like this. Just keep adjusting until you find space for everything, really. So I think that is good. We'll then have to do some formatting. We'll do the formatting one column at a time. So sales is my number, so I'll just apply currency formatting. Because these are direct references in the cell, I can apply cell format codes without having to do much. You notice that when you do this, I'll undo the steps, you can observe carefully. As soon as I apply currency formatting, this column gets wider. You may not think that is important, but in a big scheme of things, what will happen is this tile is getting wider than it should be, which is actually not recommended. Everything needs to be same size so that there is no undue attention given to one tile versus another. So if the columns are getting resized, you will have to take a choice, like, if this number is too big and you need a wider column, then maybe move everything to the side and create more space for it, or think about those challenges in your head. But for now, I'm just gonna make everything same size again, and just reduce the decimal precision there. If I want, I can also do it in thousands format, because these numbers are big, so we don't have to go very specific on them. This one will just say number. This is where it's good to know some shortcuts as well. I hope many of you are already familiar with this. For example, turn this into currency format. You can press Control $, which is Control Shift 4, and add the decimal currency formatting in the default format. To make all of these percentages, we just select everything and then Control %, which is Control Shift 5. And that'll add that. And then we want to show a bar here, so I'll say this is equal to that. Likewise, we want to show a bar here, so this is equal to that. And this one we will select conditional formatting, data bar. We'll just say more, and we'll say show bar only. We don't want anything else, we just want a bar, and that will be a dull color like that. We don't want that to get too much attention. This is our primary metric for business success, profit. So we could kind of make it a little bit flashy, and that'll come up there. You can test it out already by sorting it on profit. You can see that this actually goes down, or sales, that goes down. And these ones, we can just leave them as they are, or you can even add indicators there, which is what I've done. In the final thing, I have added indicators there. But when I showed it to my wife, Jo, well, I didn't show it. I was building this. She walked in and then she was like, those indicators look a bit confusing to me. So I am actually in two minds. So I won't really get into that. I'll leave that to you as a choice. So then we'll make that nice and bold. Select these two, merge in the center, and that can be there. These guys, we will just put that there. And then select all of these, Control 1. Control 1 is a universal format shortcut. Anytime you select something, press Control 1, it opens the formatting thing for that. And then from here, I'll just add only the horizontal borders, and we'll turn off the grid lines. So right now, we are now going away from that spreadsheet mode to the dashboard mode, and we are really thinking, how do I polish this visual so that everything looks nice and clean and crisp? This is the place where you will have to develop these skills as an analyst, both calculating skills as well as the visual skills. So time to time, you'll have to switch your hats. Okay, before I make more progress, let me just quickly have a scan in the comment window to see if I missed any important questions. So Nagarajan says, using Power BI is more simpler than this, right? What is more special about doing in Excel? Well, obviously, the you can also do things easily in any number of places. There is no argument about that. We are not trying to say use only Excel or use only Power BI. That's really not the idea of this or any other video. The reason why I'm showing it in Excel is obviously because Excel has probably 100 times as many users as Power BI is, and even many more, I guess. So there's many more organizations and individuals who are required to do this in Excel than they are in Power BI. That's number one. Number two, not everything that you can or should be done in Power BI. Sometimes you may have to do things in Excel. So that could be another reason. Even if the organization is using Power BI, they may ask you certain things to be done in Excel, certain things to be done in Power BI. So all of those are the reasons why I'm explaining. If you are a skeptic of why should I do something in Excel, well, you shouldn't even come to the stream, because this whole point of this live stream is to show you how to do in Excel. I ran a similar stream on Power BI last month or the month before, so I show everything. It is up to you as an individual to make the choices. All right, so we got our thing here just as a grid, and I can select something, it will show me the value. But there are some important things missing. Number one, there is no visual cue that this table is sorted on profit. I mean, with profit, it is obvious that we have sorted here because of the visual indicator. But if I go on boxes, there is no immediate feedback to me that we are now looking by boxes. So what we want to do is we want to highlight a column if it is being sorted. Okay, I'll demo this to you here on the final output. You can see that there's a orange color shade. This is because I've synchronized the color of slicer and that. So if I pick something, the orange color thingy goes there. So this is a very powerful visual cue to your audience that you picked, it is getting sorted. There is another usability issue here, which we will address later, but for now, we will have to figure out how to do this and that. So we will do it. The way to do this is we already got our wording here, but these words are not really the same words that are on the slicer. So it's going to be a little bit problematic, but we'll figure that out. So what I'll do is I'll just print the number 1 here. There's other ways to do it as well. The final output that I gave you, I didn't even use this method. But because we have not used the exact words, this is probably easier. Okay, so you can see that boxes is, let's just verify this. Okay, yeah, this is fine. 3, 4, 5, 6. We can hide this entire row itself, so it doesn't even bother us, or you don't even have to have them here. You can move them to another sheet and it will still work. But for now, I'll just put these numbers here. Let me print some color there so you can actually see what is going on. And what we want is, if you observe here, we got the sort index, right? 2, 3, 4, like that. I will name this sort index as sorted by. So this cell N24 is now having a name sorted by, and I can access this in my dashboard as well. We can write N24, but that gets a little too tedious. So having it a name will help. And then we'll just select all of this, conditional formatting, new rule. So this is how you can add that kind of visual highlighting through conditional formatting. So we want to highlight one of these columns if that column number matches the sort index. So we'll use a formula. The formula will be equal to, this is a bit too small, so you can't read it, but it's not a big formula. It's just an equal to formula. So all we say is select that cell. It would be absolute reference by default. We'll just make it like this, which means F$12. Always look at row number 12, but column number can change, is sorted.by. That's the name of the cell. If the number matches the sort selection back in my screen, then fill up with that color. So as you pick boxes, it will highlight the boxes. Profit, sales, boxes YOY, sales YOY, profit, sales YOY. The other usability issue, which I have not solved in my final workbook as well, but that is something for you to figure out how to solve as a homework, is you notice that these are ordered in boxes, profit, sales, YOY like this, whereas the ordering here is in a different way. So if possible, if we can synchronize the ordering of this and that in the same way, then that will be even better. So it doesn't create some confusion. Like I clicked the sixth option and suddenly something in the middle get highlighted. So it doesn't really go well for your viewers. And once this is done, I can hide this column so that it's only for the visual purpose. So it doesn't have to be in the final output, and that'll be very good. All right, let's just see if there is any comments. Could you make the text box properties not move in size with cell? So this is something that we were talking about when you make the column wider, the box also gets wider. You can also set the properties of shapes and text boxes to have them not size when you move the cell. Not many people would be familiar with this, but it's a very valuable and powerful visual trick. So I'll quickly demonstrate that to you. Let's just demonstrate here. So if I add a shape like that, notice that this shape is this wide, but if I make one of these columns wide, by default, the shape also grows, which could be desirable in some situations, but not always. So what you could do is you can select the shape, go to format options with Control 1, and click on that little thing, properties. And from here, you can tell Excel, don't move or size with cells. What this will do is, now if I do that, if I make this column wide, this box will still retain its width. Okay. There could be reasons why you may want to do it, you may not want to do it. For the sake of simplicity, I left it as default, but you can also tweak that, and that will give you some more flexibility. All right, that's that comment. Okay, so we got our highlighting thingy done. Everything is looking nice and good. What you could also do is, because there's 10 values, you can, we'll first up make this thing stand out with our, I guess that's the dark chocolate color, and that, so that those things come out. And then you can select every other row. Again, this can be done using conditional formatting, but because there's only 10 items, I can just use my mouse to select. And let's fill up some very dull color so that it adds a little bit of zebra line option on the screen, and it makes it for a more pleasant reading experience, in my opinion. And make some choices about these font sizes. If you think this is too big, you can adjust the size. For the live stream, because the main intent is for you to read, I'm just gonna not touch the size. But for a final dashboard, you could, for example, make this text a little smaller or larger depending on what you are doing. The next thing is we want to integrate the slicer with this grid so that it is easy for your audience to connect this and that. So that's the thing that I'm gonna do here. I'll move my slicer here. I'll move, allocate this space. I'll just copy paste the formatting. And we'll right click on the slicer settings, display header. We will uncheck that so that there is nothing, just these items. And ta-da, move this, and we'll go to slicer format and pick this formatting, and we can just do something like that, so that everything is nice and tidy. Okay, so I mean, at this stage, the dashboard that I promised you is there. The only thing missing is satisfaction rating, which is not that hard. You can figure it out. There's also the aspect of adding some extra information. So instead of saying products, we'll just say top 10 products. And you can add some intermediate sections here to explain what is going on, and even add some storytelling points, like, what is, for example, you could add some summary here that says how these 10 products contribute to the overall picture. Like, for example, our top 10 products are bringing in 60% of revenue, or those kind of things, and that will be very, very valuable. So at this point, what I'll do is I'll save this. I'll quickly jump to my final output so that I can talk a few more things about how to take this forward. One thing that you want to carefully think about when you're making dashboards is, because the purpose of a dashboard is to provide information to an executive or a decision maker, and you are getting their attention with the dashboard, right? So you want to fully utilize that attention. One good way of fully utilizing is using up the entire space. So usually dashboards are meant to cover one full screen real estate or one printed page real estate. So here you can see this is one full screen. We've covered as much, but there is a little bit of space here. So you want to utilize that, either make everything more spaced out, or these tiles can be shrunk. You can see that there is a bit of space here. The reason why I left that space is you can also use that space to add some trend of what's happening in the 1 year. So we are only comparing September versus September. Imagine the situation where September is our best month. So we sell $10 million chocolate in September. Last year, September also, we sold $10 million. But from October to, again, start of September, we sell $0. That information is shown nowhere on the dashboard. So you will look at this, you'll feel like, oh, things are going super awesome. But the reality is we sucked in all of the other months. So having some trends or some other graphs will be useful. That's why I left the space, so you can go and add those things. But here I've left this as deliberately blank so that you can figure out if there is some additional awesome things that you can add. So use that to fill up the space. You might be tempted, oh, why not just keep scrolling and add more information? Again, that is a choice that you can make. If you have your decision makers already trying to read 3 or 5 pages of report, then that's good. But usually you want to keep it simple. The key thing to remember with KPI dashboards is K stands for key. So you don't want to show 75 KPIs. You just want to show the most important ones and what's happening in a crisp, concise manner. So that's the final output. It would be awesome if you can actually take up the challenge, figure out what else can be added here or how you would visualize it, and share it in the comments, or come back to the page later on and tell me there. Or feel free to send me an email with an enhancement that you make, so that if it's a really good one, I would love to make a video and share it with others as well. So feel free to do that. All right, let me see what questions are there. Okay, let's read this. I have a question related with job role. Do you think the roles like business analyst, data analyst will be relevant even after 5 years from now? If only I have such a great visibility into future. Unfortunately, I have no idea where things will head. But hopefully, this is all right. The challenge for us many times is we don't really know what the future is going to hold for us. So it's hard for us to make decisions with that kind of an uncertain environment. It's not uncertain. You would think that the world is heading towards automation, but back when I was doing my engineering, so some of you may know it, but others not. I did my engineering from 1999 to 2003 in computer science. So During that time, we would have courses, full-time courses on automation, machine learning, artificial intelligence, and even my graduation project is on implementing a machine learning algorithm to predict if someone is going to get diabetes or not. So that was my project. And when we were doing all of these, at least I personally was like quite excited about the prospect of where future is. In future, we don't have to do anything and things will happen for us. But that's not the reality where we are now 20 years later, isn't it? So maybe things won't go in that direction. Maybe they'll go. I don't really know exactly where that is. I can't tell you, and I'm pretty sure nobody can. What is certain for sure is we will continue to use data to make decisions. That is pretty much what it is. So as long as you're equipping yourself with those skills, and more importantly, as long as you're building the skill of how to learn, I think that will serve you better. So hopefully, yeah, I hope that was a good answer. I don't know. Mohammed asks, kindly suggest the best book for dashboard development. It's a bit tricky because there is no one or two books that I can recommend, but there's a couple of different books that you can read. There are different aspects in the dashboard spectrum, right? You have your calculation aspect, you have your data management aspect, and then you have your visual aspect. And each of them are different skills. And as a data analyst or as a reporting person, you're supposed to have all of them, like you're supposed to be at the center of that intersection of all of those skills. But sometimes you may need skills in one direction or another. So if you don't know how to do pivot tables or how to make DAX formulas, but if you're very good with visuals, then that is the book for you. So that's why I said the best book is hard. But the books that I think are good to read are, you want to read at least one book on how to build things in Excel and one book on how to design things. The design need not be in Excel, but you just want to learn how to make better graphs, how to make better visuals and all of that. So in the giveaway slide, I did show these books. So these are probably good books for you to get, like Storytelling with Data or Better Data Visualizations. I would recommend one of those for the visual space. How to build things within Excel is where you could get a generic Excel books like Excel Bible or something like that, and that'll give you a fairly good idea of how to work around Excel, and later on you can add more. All right. I'm just looking at my book cupboard to see if I have the book here. No, the one of the books that I showed here is actually in the bedroom because my wife is reading that now. So anyhow, we completed the dashboard. I hope the experience has been useful. I know it was a bit rushed at some points, but hopefully not too rushed that you're missing out on the important bits, and it gave you enough fodder and enough ideas. Feel free to ask questions, and I'll hang around. I feel like I forgot to do something, but I don't really know what that is. So I'll just keep looking at the questions. And so Salim asks, can you please guide on predictive analytic models in Excel? You can do a couple of things. Let me just go here. There's a lot of different models that you can build. This is a good article that I wrote a while ago. This is about 2 years ago now. But I built a predictive model to figure out the cricket scores during the World Cup cricket time. And I shared it on my art blog. I'll You can find it on internet. There's even a video on my YouTube channel, but I'll put this link later on in the video description. So it basically uses a there's a lot going on here, but it uses this ensemble model technique. There's a lot. Again, predictive analytics and modeling is a wide area. There's lots of different techniques. Some of them better suited for programming languages such as Python. Others are more suited for large scale data processing engines such as Power BI. And some of them are simple and easy to implement in a rudimentary tool like Excel, because Excel is not really like a processing engine. It is a very good spreadsheet engine, right? So you can't really do everything, but I show you one way of doing it with the ensemble modeling, which simply means we don't really know which way to go, so we simply build multiple models and run them all parallelly and get the class and get the output, and then aggregate it and show one result. So that's really what ensemble model does. So it goes on into detail of how that is done, how to calculate various things, and what models I'm using, what is the regression like, and all of that. And finally, basically, we're trying to predict the score in a match. Obviously, the actual runs we already have, but what is it that's going to happen? And the YouTube video also talks about that. So yeah, check that out. I mean, this is not the only way to do it, but this will give you some ideas on where to go. Okay, this is an interesting one. Ganesh asks, what are generally most required KPI for business? I think the most required KPI for a business is this copy. It's just a joke. But really, the KPIs that are required in a business depend a lot on what is the business doing, what is the life cycle of that business, and what is important for them. So I can't really comment on things about every business. So I'll just tell you for my business, because I run a business as well. So I'll tell you what is important for me as a KPI, what are the things that I track, and then you can understand. So when you are picking a KPI, you need to think about what is it that you can reliably measure, but also what is it that you can reliably control. Okay. If you go back to the Peter Drucker's quotation, which is, you can't manage what you can't measure. Okay. We tend to think about that, okay, then that means we must measure everything because then I can manage everything. But we are also missing the other keyword there, can't. So not everything can be managed, right? If you try to measure everything, that doesn't directly automatically mean that you can manage. So you will have to measure things so that they can lead you to better management. I'll give you a solid example. Let's say if I'm measuring my business success by, if I take my business, one part of my business is running YouTube channel, right? So I told this example earlier as well, but I'll now tell again in a different way. So if I want to measure the success of my YouTube channel by, for example, how many subscribers I have or how many likes I'm getting, then I can always measure them, right? These numbers are visible to me right there on the video or the channel page when I log in. So I can see what is my subscribers like, what is like ratio like. But the problem is there is nothing that I can do to manage them. I can measure them, but I can't manage them. So let's say I measure my subscribers and 122,000 subscribers. That's, I think, what we are right now at. But there is nothing I can do to manage it. I can't really set a target on it that says, I want to get to 200,000 subscribers by next year. I can't really set a goal like that, because what is it that I can do to manage it? What can I change about what am I doing to get there? Even if I do all my work, there is no guarantee that I'll get that. So instead, we need to measure and manage things that are manageable. So for me, manageable aspects would be how many videos I can make. That is a manageable aspect. How often I'm getting the feedback from customers and whether I'm making notes and acting on that. That is a manageable aspect. How am I editing the videos? What topics I'm selecting? All of those are manageable. Some of them are qualitative, so I can't really put a number on it, but others I can put a number. So for example, I can set myself a goal that I'll make 50 videos this year. That's a goal. I didn't publicly state it, but that was the goal for me for 2021, to make 50 videos. I already made more than that. The other goal that I set last year, which was public, is to make 100 videos in 2020. I didn't meet it, but I got nearly there because I can control that. I can measure it. I can control it. So that is how, as a business, you want to think about KPI. So things that people track. If you go back to our dashboard, we were a bit lazy with the KPIs. We were tracking sales, and again, you can do certain things to improve sales, but things that you want to track need to be a bit more all over the place as well. So not just the financial side of it. You want to look at operations. You want to look at people. You want to look at other things as well. So that's a little bit theory. You could probably, if you are completely new and you're not really sure what to track, just follow the money, because that's the easy thing, right? A business needs to survive. Money is the survival thing. So you keep track of how much money you're spending, how much money you're earning, how much money you're keeping. Those are the three things. But later on, you can improve, like how satisfied people are, how wholesome your products are, whether customers are happy, and whether we're getting repeat customers, and all of that are other things. All right. This is from Manjunath. Can this sheet go into PowerPoint as Excel object and can be dynamic also? I think it can go into PowerPoint. I'm not really sure if it is gonna be a dynamic thing in PowerPoint, because PowerPoint embed options are not really built like that. And even if they are, whether they are capable of doing the data model thing, I'm not really sure. So you can try it, and otherwise you can always just put it as an image. Lucian says, thank you, Chandoo. I enjoyed very much being live with you. Besides reading books and looking at YouTube, lessons are also very helpful. You have helped me in a big way getting better in Excel. Thank you, Lucian. Thank you so much for saying such nice words. And it was awesome to have you on this live stream. Anil asks, how to measure attrition, how many resigned, serving notice, and separated in a similar dashboard example in HR. Awesome question, Anil. In fact, human resources analytics is one of my interest areas right now. So I've put some articles and videos on my website and channel. I'll show you. So I think this is a video as well, but employee turnover dashboard is something that I have an article on my website. It talks about how to measure and track. Yeah, if you search on my channel for employee attrition or turnover dashboard, you will find that, and that's a good place for you to get some ideas for the things that you are asking. And yeah, you can take it from there. Geeta says, would this dashboard work in Excel 2010? So I think it will definitely work in 2013 because we are using the data model. In 2010, it wouldn't really work unless you somehow get Power Pivot installed there. So yeah, probably you need 2013. I just closed the lid on my M&M jar, but we got a super chat, so I might actually eat one more. As you could guess from my voice, my throat is already itching. Thanks, Curtis, for the M&M. Here's a funny thing. I got this jar of M&Ms, and I don't need to tell you slowly. My kids are still sleeping. So, and I kept this visible in my office, but this is the same computer on which my daughter also plays her video games, and my son, they all walk in here anyway. So they have sneakily started snacking on those M&Ms, and I had to figure out a place to hide it. So I was hiding it all this while, and I would only get it out just before the live stream now. But anyway, in case you're new and wondering, just started the stream and you're like, what the heck is happening? Why is he eating M&Ms? I wanted to eat an M&M every time we got a super chat. So that's that. Kaiser asks, do you have any recommendations for how to learn the DAX language? Oh yes, I do. I will. There's a couple of places, but since you're already on the live stream, you might actually just enjoy the other live streams that I did. So if you go to my my channel, and I'm just gonna. So the topic that I stream advanced Excel topics every month on the last Friday. Rest of the month I just post regular videos. So the topic 3 months ago is getting started with Power BI and DAX, 15 useful measures. So feel free to, after this stream ends, you can go and watch that. Of course, you don't have to watch the whole thing, but it follows the same pattern, and you'll get a nice little solid introduction on DAX. There's example files, and it'll give you all the necessary ideas. In that, I also talk about some resources to learn DAX. Mr. M gives Swedish Krone 20 as a super sticker. I'm still snacking on this one, so I'm not going to eat one more M&M. But thank you so much. Thanks for being here and supporting. Eric says, welcome back, Eric. Thank you again, Chandoo. Always learning new things, also between the lines. Thank you. I hope it has been fun, and it's good to have you, and good to see you. So this is probably Mr. M asking about DAX, how to add new columns to pivot table. I think that's the both DAX as well as you can also check the playlist section on my website on the channel. There's a playlist called Advanced Pivot Tricks. So I would recommend going through that and figuring out some of those tricks. There's quite a few interesting ones there that talk about how to add calculations. And Adam from Guy in a Cube posted a good set of resources. This is from Pabiadar. I'm just going to call you PAB. Yeah, probably you're talking about DAX. Guy in a Cube is a good place for you to learn. You can again find that in the channel recommendation here as well, Guy in a Cube. So go and check it out. And they got some pretty good videos and stuff. I would also recommend getting a book or two. I got some books here. So this is probably a good book to get, which is Supercharged Power BI by DAX with it's Matt Allington's book. So it's a good book. I'll try to do a giveaway on that book maybe next month or the month after. Which reminds me, in case you haven't, I'm doing a giveaway in the stream. So feel free to, I'm giving away one of these 3 books to 3 people. And you can participate if you have not done. Go to chandoo.org/giveaway and just put your name, email address, and you'll have to put something insightful, funny, or amazing there. This is just so that I could kind of hear what you're saying. Don't spam the form though, but yeah, complete that. You can use the QR code in case you have another device, but that's a great way for you to get a book. Roshan says, hi Chandoo, I go through your YouTube videos. It would be awesome if you have a Power BI video as well. I got many Power BI videos on the channel. I did a live stream a couple of months ago on Power BI. And yeah, I plan to add like a couple of videos on Power BI every month. So Won't be long before we build up. I think if you have not already watched, I would recommend The Truth About Power BI and How to Learn. It's a pretty good video that takes you through the whole journey in a short 10-minute video. But the live stream from a couple of months ago is still good. It is one of my most viewed live streams in the recent history. So, yeah. Shabari says QR code is created in Excel. It is not. I know you can create, but I'm just using the Microsoft Forms and it has a QR code option. Pa Beard Oh, that's a pretty good thing. Wife makes things with beads. Well, thanks for the clarification there. Devendra says, your teaching style is awesome. Thank you, Devendra. Thank you so much for your love and appreciation. George sends in a super sticker as well. Thank you, George. I think I have had way too many M&Ms because I haven't even had a breakfast. I only had like a cup of coffee. So it's probably not a good idea to snack on M&Ms. Maybe next month. You think what do you think I should do? Maybe I should bring in some peanuts or I don't know. I thought it'll be fun. I haven't really thought through about what's going to happen to my voice when I eat all these M&Ms. This is from Will Smith. I think I've one more question, sir. Why people say they are learning our language? Learning our language is hard. Why even learn a language from data analysis when you can download tools like Excel and Tableau? Okay, I guess it's I don't know who these people are who are saying learning R is hard. I find learning R is fun. I have done. I don't actively do R programming, but I learned it for fun, and it's a good language. Yeah, I mean, if you are looking to learn something, you don't have to listen to the people who are saying negative things. You just pick the ones that are saying positive things. Like me, I'm saying you learn it. It's fun, and then go and learn it. But the other question is, why bother learning? Why can't I do everything in Excel? Well, I think the reason why you want to learn anything, not just Excel, is so that it will keep you curious. It will give you a more sustainable goal. I think it goes back into that KPI philosophy, but a KPI philosophy for life. Let's just say you measure your life by, I mean, let's not get philosophical here, but if I say the success in life is how much money you have, then you can always get more money, but it can also not actually true for everybody, but it can also lead you to quite a miserable situations. Whereas if you always say, I'm just gonna lead my life by learning new things, then it's a more sustainable goal because you're not really at a stress or anything. You can always try different things. So I guess for that reason, I would say you can learn. I mean, you can do everything in Excel. More practical reason why you don't want to do everything in Excel is if you can do everything in Excel, then you can treat Excel like a hammer and everything looks like a nail to you. You'll try to put a spreadsheet on it. Whereas if you know other tools, then you will then be able to pick the right one for the job. So for that reason, I think learning other tools becomes more vital. Shabari says, get dry fruits. Not a bad idea. Probably, yeah, maybe that's. I think dry fruits is the winner now. Somehow the stream has turned into a dry fruit related stream. Devendra says namaste from India. Thank you, Devendra. Namaste to you as well. Manjunath says they say you can never completely master Excel. What is the last thing you learned Excel and when? I would say I learned something new in this stream. We were trying to link up the table value to the button text box. And I was thinking it will not show in the format that is on the screen, but it was. And someone said that's something new that they have done in Excel. So yeah, that is pretty new. But even as part of building this dashboard itself, I learned a couple of things. So for example, I mean, this is a bit arcane, so not everyone would find it easy. But if you look at these shapes, I didn't really download them. I had to make this shape. So I was actually trying to do something like this, but they looked a bit plain vanilla. I wanted something that is a little more interesting. The first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to have like a block of chocolate because it's a chocolate business. So I thought a block of chocolate is for each KPI tile. But it is very hard and they're not scalable. Like I can't stretch them without making them look a bit funny. So then I had to think, oh, maybe I need to do something else. So I wanted to have this kind of a shape. It was very hard to make that shape. I'll show you the reason why. If I go to shapes, again, this is completely unrelated to what we're doing from Excel, but it's a good design skill. So you make it like that, but you notice that this rounding is not even. So what I did is I had this and then I copy pasted that. I'm just gonna align it like this. And this guy, so this is 2 bits. And then we select them. You could say I didn't learn it this time. It was kind of like an ongoing process. This is fine. But how do I make a punch hole in this? That was tricky. So this is when I copied this. This is something that I learned a while ago, but I've been learning more ways to use it. So you can paste it in PowerPoint. It's still two shapes. You could have actually done the whole thing in PowerPoint, but and then insert a circle shape in PowerPoint. Right. So we got a circle and I'm just gonna make it white. It doesn't have to be white. It doesn't matter. So we got 3 shapes here and then copy this. Select everything and within shape format there is a merge shapes option. From here I'm just gonna try these. Of course it's not that simple. I think first thing I need to do is these 2 need to be union, and then that and that. If I okay, what's going on? If I subtract, then what happens is that circle is gone from this. So now I have this, but it's a hole. So I can actually see through whatever is in the behind. So then I can copy this, paste it here. But because it's a shape, I can recolor it. I can do whatever I want. And then I can put an icon inside. So this is something that I learned as part of building this dashboard. Again, completely unrelated to Excel, but you know, there's so many fun things that you can learn. Jaswinder says, can we have a detailed video on Gantt chart? Sure. In fact, it is already there. If you go to the channel videos and just browse through, you will find that I did a 3-series video on project management dashboard. So you want to start with the first one, which is, where is it? Here. So this is the one, make an awesome project management dashboard. And it talks about building a Gantt chart. And if you want to learn other bits, you can go and do the part 2 and 3. But part 1 is pretty self-contained and we'll talk about how to make a Gantt chart. Akshay says, today I'm visiting your YouTube channel. I want to know where to start data analysis. If you go to the channel, there's many videos, but probably this particular one, data analysis, beginner to pro Excel data analysis course. This video is a very good one. It is a 50-minute video, but it's not like live stream. It is a a test stretch video. There is no interruptions, no chat messages, nothing. You just learn. There's a blank file, there's a completed file. Some of you who is watching this stream might have actually found my channel from that video, because it was one of the most popular videos that I published in the last 1 month. So feel free to check it out and start. We seem to be getting this spam from some user all the time. All right. Okay, I guess we've gone way past 2 hours, and I know it's some of you are still hanging out, but I think it's good if we hang up now. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this live stream. I had so much fun talking to you, explaining some of the KPI dashboard techniques. I hope you found all of this useful as well. And feel free to put your name into the giveaway contest if you have not already done it. Again, as I said, it's just for fun. So if you would like to maybe have a chance, give it a go. But otherwise, I'll see you all again on the live stream next month, last Friday. And let me know in the comments, not in the live stream, but in the video comments below as well, what topics you want me to talk on next month. And I'll because I need to prepare some material, think about slides and all of that. So I usually do my planning for the live stream in the first 2 weeks of the month, and then start putting together stuff in the last two weeks. So let me know in the first 2 weeks, what do you want to see? And then I'll try to consider that when I plan my live stream for the next month. Big thanks for everyone, all the new people, as well as all the original live stream viewers who always join me every month. It is so much fun talking to you, and I hope you had fun. I know it was a bit silly to have M&Ms during the live stream, but yeah, hey, you never know what it's like until you tried. Next month we'll try something else. That's probably not that. There's one personal question. We'll just what is the story behind your DP? So this is something that you can leave now, but I'm just gonna reminisce about the story. So there's actually like a proper backstory. Some of you may know, especially if you have been with me for more than a few years, then chances are you may have heard it or not. So the Chandoo.org as a website has existed since 2004. And at that point, the whole purpose of that is not to make it an Excel or a Power BI website. It was a personal blog. That's the reason why I went with Chandoo.org. And it is not even Chandoo.org back in 2004. It used to be a blog that is hosted on Blogspot. So it's one of the blogging platforms. I don't know whether it still exists or not, but it's where you would make your free websites. So at that point, I just finished my engineering degree, and I went to do my management degree. So I found myself in this middle of both doing engineering and management. So kind of like a weird place. I mean, it's not weird. It's quite common in India, but I found that it is funny. So what I did is I would usually joke about it on my website, personal blog, as I'm this pointy-haired Dilbert. Some of you may know the Dilbert cartoon. It's about a management situational cartoon. And there's a pointy-haired guy who is an engineer, and Dilbert, who is the engineer, and the pointy-haired guy is the manager. But I found myself doing both, so I started calling my website as Pointy-haired Dilbert all the way back in 2006, 2005, 6, 7. So, and the logo of the blog used to be literally Dilbert with pointy hair. That's the logo. And then later on, at some point, I decided, I didn't really decide. I used to have a MacBook at that time, because as I said, Excel was not the primary focus. It's just personal blog. So one day I woke up and the MacBook had this little, I think it's called photo booth, which is where you can take a picture and it will skew your picture in different ways. So one of the filters there is it can skew your picture horizontally, like you're taking a selfie and it'll skew. So that's really what happened. I took a picture but my hair was all groggy because I just got up, and I took that picture, which kind of skewed my hair. So I then thought, oh, this is pointy hair. I can use this for my website logos. I had my pointy hair Dilbert and that logo on my website. This is quite a while ago. And then so you can actually see on my web, I'm actually browsing my website, right? There's like, it had all these references to pointy hair Dilbert. So one day, I think in early 2008 or 2009, I got an email from Scott Adams. I didn't know, I didn't realize who this is, but Scott Adams is the creator of Dilbert cartoon, and he emailed me and then said, hey, I'm Scott Adams, and I like what you're doing on your website. I think because it's a growing website, we need to now start worrying about our trademark, which is the Dilbert. I'm using Dilbert in my website quite often. So people search Dilbert and they would find on my website instead of going to Dilbert cartoon website. So he asked me very nicely, can you just remove the word Dilbert from your website? And I thought, oh, this is nice. And then I realized it's probably not good for me to get on someone else's brand. I need to have my own brand. My website was already chandoo.org by then. So I had my hairy image and Chandoo. And that's really the story behind that. And that's how the logo kind of came up. And I started using it for everything on my website and my YouTube channel. And yeah, I don't really feel like changing it. It's all right. And it looks interesting enough. And yeah, I hope that gave you a bit of laugh. And if not, that's pretty much it. Paula says, Paula speaks. Thanks, Chandoo. Always appreciate your wisdom. Thank you so much, Paula. And Andrew Evan says, there will always be data analysts. The role will change as has available software, which is true. I guess it's referring back to the question on where is the future. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I hope everything went well, and big thanks to all of you for tuning in, and a special thanks to all my M&M donors. It was fun eating M&Ms, although I would probably have to think twice if I want to do it again. Maybe I'll do it on a more personal stream rather than like a demo kind of a stream. But that's that. And thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next month. And yeah, feel free to download the files. And if you have got more questions, leave them in the comments below so that I can check them out and help you out later on. Thank you, and bye-bye.